If you already follow us on YouTube, you already know we covered this a lot in our post-game live stream, but it's too good of a thing not to spend just a little bit of extra time celebrating because it is a really good part of the whole of the Auburn experience, and that is your Auburn Tigers baseball team heading to Omaha. Insert your Peyton Manning jokes right now if you'd like to. I probably have done my fair share of them online. May or may not. I will not confirm that. But regardless, we are here to celebrate Auburn baseball making it to the College World Series as one of the best 8 teams in college baseball this season. It's been an uphill climb for Auburn from the very beginning, and we want to talk a little bit more about that in detail and continue to celebrate this momentous occasion for this program here on Ever to Podcast, which is our short form video and audio series where we talk about what's most prevalent right now in the Auburn family spectrum, where we cover the whole of the Auburn experience here on the E2C network. If you are listening on the podcast, we appreciate you being there, or watching here on YouTube as well. We encourage you to subscribe to both formats because there's content that you can get at each different thing, as well as following us on our social media accounts to get the full experience from us with the Auburn experience. So let's talk about this. Honestly, I've been sitting here in this office post doing our live stream reaction on YouTube about the game and talking with a lot of you that I'm sure that are watching or listening right now, just kind of taking it all in. And it's hard to take all of that in and just kind of process it all as to what just happened. It's one thing when the team comes into the year expecting to be one of the best teams. It's one thing when a team that's even maybe got a slight bit of expectations that they are good enough to makes it to this point. But I think, honestly, anybody outside of the Auburn program knew that if they say that they knew this was going to happen, they were lying to you. I remember having a conversation with one of my good friends. We'll remain nameless, I'm trying to say here for now, but he probably knows who I'm talking about if he's listening or watching. I asked him, tell me about this team. I've been out of it for 2 years in terms of being really up to date with this baseball program. Are we good enough to make some noise this year? And he said to me, as avid as an Auburn baseball fan as he is, I don't know. I really don't know. It really comes down to the pitching. And that was the story all this year. Could the pitching keep up with the offense? Because from the get-go, the offense was there. I was there at the opening series at home. I believe it was Rhode Island or one of the two. And I said to myself, well, he's right. The offense is there. The pitching, there's been some moments where it was kind of spotty. But I think that's gotten stronger as the scene has taken place throughout the rest of this season. And that's even with Hayden Mullins going out for foreseeably the rest of the year as the season continues today. Let's be honest. I want to be honest with you guys for a second. In these series, I try to come up with good topics for us to kind of talk about. And I had prepared myself to kind of use maybe Auburn losing in the Super Regional to move on and kind of discuss, the year that was in Auburn athletics, now that it would have, at least in that mindset, been officially over with. But here we are. We've still got a week and a half. Well, we'll call it a week, give or take some days, maybe up to 2 weeks-ish of Auburn sports from this athletic calendar year because of Auburn baseball still going on. They're the only ones left, and they just said, you know what? The 2021 year, the 2021 to 22 year is just been too good as a whole. I know there's been high and lows in other aspects, but as a whole, this has been too much fun not to continue the party. And so we're going to do that well into June with Auburn baseball. I do want to take this opportunity to kind of take a broader scope vision of this team and this program and this coach. It's really hard to be a Auburn athletics program outside of football, obviously. It is king, and it always will be that way. And I think for the most part, everyone, all parties involved, fans, coaches of other teams, athletes, everything, understand that and respect that. And I think even Auburn basketball and Bruce Pearl embraces that but understands that if we want this to truly be a family thing, we have to treat it like it, even if it means we will always, in the grand scheme of things, be second fiddle, third fiddle, whatever have you. So when you put it in the context of Auburn football always being that way and the rise that has been for Auburn basketball, men's basketball, you could even throw in gymnastics right now too. Baseball arguably was kind of fighting for that third spot that's always long been its place in the big three of sports. And that's a great thing for Auburn fans, right? That we have so many great things going on. The hashtag everything school means something because it's not just a slogan, it's actually happening here on campus. And so now with Auburn baseball having to compete, not just in the SEC and in baseball, but with it amongst itself for that attention, for that deserving, eyes to be on their program, to not just value them when they do things like this to get to Omaha, but throughout the season. This team has not only rejuvenated my love for Auburn baseball, but I think it's done it for the Auburn baseball family at large. And will it fade off as things tend to do when this is all said and done? Most likely. But I think people will continue to build that love and that interest level to say, you know what, I need to check in on how Auburn baseball is doing. I know it's 2 weeks into the season next season, but I still need to figure out how they're doing thus far. So I'm ready for if they do something magical again. I also want to say this. Butch Thompson. I'm going to quote, I'll give him credit, my friend Clint Richardson. Never seen a coach at Auburn do more with less. And I'm not sitting here saying that they're not given the resources they need. I don't know the ins and outs of that. I hear things. But I think it's obvious when you look at how things are going, especially right now on campus. And we've talked about football, basketball, maybe even gymnastics right now are kind of taking precedent, it seems like. But with baseball, there's other things that play into scholarships and things like that, how many coaches you can have. And with maybe some renovations being needed for baseball, you got to think we come off the heels of a Bruce Pearl situation where he, rightfully so, leverages a deal for himself, his coaches, but his facilities based off his success. I'm wondering if we've now reached that point for Butch Thompson. Has this guy now done enough to show us that he can not only get you to where you want to be, but he can have a drop-off, I shouldn't say a drop-off, just a lull in that success and bring you back up to that point. Let's put this into perspective. Auburn has made it to a super regional. Was it 3 of the last 4 seasons, I think is what it was? I may have that number right. But 2 of the last 3 College World Series, Auburn baseball has made it to Omaha. That's an incredible thing. Now, keep that in mind that the 2020 Omaha didn't happen. So 2019 didn't make it to 21, but made it in 22 here. That's an incredible feat to do that. To contend with all the things that every other athletics program was doing and having to deal with COVID-19, with everything being shut down, to have a lull after that and to come back up to this point. If nothing else, this Auburn baseball team deserves your attention, not because they're in Omaha, but because of what they've overcome over many years and what they are continuing to put out on the field. And that's good baseball, fun baseball. Baseball that has a place at Auburn that should be drawing your attention and drawing you into it and being part of that atmosphere. I got to be part of the regional, as I've already addressed here on Everett, a podcast recently where I gave you my regional thoughts in a few episodes ago. And that was one of the coolest things that I've been a part of, is just being there all weekend, enjoying being part of that atmosphere. And I wish we had had the super regional here. But it was pretty cool in Corvallis too, even doing late night live streams, which I'm still paying for, mind you, because I'm still so tired. But Butch Thompson, this team, this program deserves that investment. And we talked about this a lot in some of our live streams when you guys have asked questions about how they can invest in this program going forward, and now deserving it clearly. With football for the foreseeable future taken care of with that football performance center, development center, whichever phrase they're using these days, with basketball, but for men and women now being taken care of in terms of facilities, and men's having their coaching situations seemingly cleared up for quite some time. Those resources can now be allocated and should be allocated to baseball, because you don't get to say Omaha bound by chance this often unless you're putting quality out on the field. And to put it moreover than that, when you're a team that is completely dismissed, I'm talking nobody gives them a chance, bottom of the SEC West, bottom of the SEC, no one expected them to be able to muster much of a fight throughout the season as a whole, much less the SEC season. And now they sit here as one of the final SEC teams, 4 of which make it to the College World Series, all from the SEC West, but still one of the best top 8 teams in all of college baseball. Goes to show you that no matter what you do, no matter what you think, no matter what you rank people, no matter what you seed people, all that matters is when you get out there in the field, and if you're getting hot at the right time. Those two things kind of get together, can make some happy mediums right there. So it's going to be fun. I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot more about the ins and outs, about what to expect. I'll probably put a video together for you guys about what you need to know for the College World Series coming up. Listen, whether this team goes all the way, and that is what Butch Thompson has said multiple times now. He said it after the regional, and he's saying it after the Super Regional now. It's NCAA championship or bust. Whether they lose 2 games and are out, whether they make it all the way, the story is now written that this team was written off. But they chose to write the story, to continue that extra chapter, that epilogue. They never allowed it to be written. They get to write it. They have determined their fate. They've overcome expectations which were not placed on them. They have overcome adversity in terms of injuries, other things that, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that other teams haven't overcome things other than Tennessee. Sorry, I didn't get it in there one time. But this team is very special. And I think now the question shifts to obviously looking forward into the College World Series and what potentially could happen there with some rematches with Ole Miss, with Arkansas maybe. Who knows? Maybe we're doing this all over again with Texas A&M on the other side of that College World Series bracket, and everything's said and done. And that was kind of the starting point of people realizing, oh, Auburn's not just doing good things in non-conference. They're actually going to do some good things in conference play. So it would be very fortuitous if that ends up happening and there's an Auburn-Texas A&M matchup at the end of all this. I'm not making a prediction, just kind of going off the cuff here, looking at how things potentially could shake out going forward. But this is not going to be easy. Auburn, again, will probably be overlooked, overshadowed, dismissed. Every commentator will talk about whatever team Auburn is playing over them, interview their coaches, and we'll have to endure it. But that's what we've done, and that's what the Auburn spirit is all about, is no matter what everybody else thinks about you, it's just about us. It's just about a team. It's just about a group of individuals coming together to care about one another and care about the sport that they're playing and all those things that encompass into the Auburn creed. So, with that being said, I am so excited that our Tigers are Omaha bound. I am so excited for what they've accomplished this season. I am excited for what they potentially can accomplish going forward. And we'll be talking a lot on here on this channel and our podcast in the next week to 2 weeks. No matter what happens, we are so proud of you, Butch Thompson and Auburn baseball. Those are my thoughts about us going Omaha bound to Omaha, Nebraska for the Auburn baseball team and enjoying that. Let me know your thoughts here on YouTube in the comments section about all of this. If you're listening on the podcast, you can obviously hit us up on social media. If you want to find me, you can do so at Kyle Loomis24. The Twitter handle has changed, but at Kyle Loomis24, you can hit me up there, or the E2C Network social media, anywhere. Appreciate you listening in or watching. Hope you'll subscribe to both different formats there and take part in that. Until we talk to you all again, War Eagle.